All right, today we're diving into a crypto token called Pulse Zen. You might see it as PZEN. Now, this one's interesting because it calls itself a social experiment, and, well, it makes some pretty bold promises. So let's break down what the project's own material says it is and, how this whole thing is supposed to work. Okay, right off the bat, this is one of the very first things you see on their website. Watch your wallet balance increase every day. I mean, that's a powerful hook, right? It's designed to grab your attention. But it really begs the question, how? How could your balance just grow all by itself every single day? And that's the core question we're exploring here. A token that claims it can literally multiply just by sitting in your crypto wallet. I gotta say, it's an intriguing concept for sure. And the project lays out a very, very specific system that it says makes all of this possible. So to understand how it's all supposed to work, we've got to start with the promise. Let's look at how Pulse Zen actually defines itself and the core idea it's built on. Okay, so the key phrase you'll see over and over in their material is socially engineered. The project isn't just presenting itself as another digital currency. No, it's framed as a system designed from the ground up to redistribute wealth among everyone who holds it. And really, this idea is central to its entire identity. And they're not shy about it at all. They're out here labeling it the most exciting DeFi opportunity this year. Now, in the crypto world where things move at lightning speed, that is a huge claim. So what's the engine that's supposed to be powering all this confidence? Well, that engine is something the project calls the Pay It Forward system. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty, the actual mechanics of how this is all supposed to function. So take a look at this. This is the breakdown of every single PZEN transaction. It doesn't matter if you're buying or selling, a small percentage gets sliced off the top. Now, sure, the vast majority, almost 98%, goes right to the recipient. But that little slice that's taken out, the biggest piece of that is the 2% for what they call pay it forward. And this right here is the core mechanic. That 2% fee, the PIF, or pay it forward, is automatically redistributed to all existing PZEN holders. It's proportional, so the more you hold, the bigger your piece of the pie. The idea is that as long as people are trading, tokens are constantly being redistributed. This is the system behind that big watch your wallet grow claim. Then there's another tiny little slice from every transaction, just 0.01%, that gets burned. And what does that mean? Well, those tokens are sent to a dead wallet address. They're just gone. Poof. Removed from circulation forever. The goal here is to create a deflationary effect. The thinking is, if you make the token scarcer over time, in theory, its value should go up. And what about the charity part? Well, a 0.2% fee is set aside for a charity wallet. According to the source material, the plan is to eventually set up a DAO. That's a decentralized autonomous organization, which is basically a system that would let all the token holders vote on where that charity money actually gets donated. But just holding the token isn't the only way they describe you can earn. The project also outlines let's call it a next level, earning advanced rewards. Okay, and the comparison here is pretty stark. The project points out that, your traditional bank might give you, 1 to 3% APY, maybe? Well, they claim the PZEN reward system for liquidity providers offers a minimum of 18% APY. That is a massive difference, and it's obviously designed to be very, very attractive. And that claimed APY, or annual percentage yield, it's variable. The documents say you can lock up your liquidity pool tokens for different amounts of time. So a 1-month lockup is targeting an 18% APY, 3 months goes up to 22%, and a 6-month lockup targets 25%. Pretty simple. The longer you lock it up, the higher the stated reward. Now, this whole reward system actually uses a second token. It's called PZIC, the Pulse Zen Incentive Token. The source describes this one as being more valuable than PZEN. And here's the kicker. It says the only way you can earn it is by providing liquidity. So you have to pair your PZEN with a stablecoin like USDC in a trading pool. It's basically an extra carrot to get people to participate more deeply. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get practical and look at the how. This is the step-by-step process for actually getting the token, at least according to the project's own guide. All right, so the process they lay out has a few technical steps. You've got to get a MetaMask wallet, fund it, manually add the token's contract address.
all that stuff. But there's one really key step they highlight, setting your slippage tolerance to 3%. Now, all that is a setting on the exchange that basically tells it, hey, I'm okay if the price moves a little bit before my trade goes through. And you need that because of the token's built-in fees.
And this is a really important detail to understand. That slippage setting is directly tied to those fees we talked about. The source material is very clear. If you buy, say, 100 tokens, you're only going to see about 97 or so actually land in your wallet. The rest, it just automatically sliced off for the pay-it-forward system, the burn, and the charity wallet. That's not a bug. That's the system working exactly as it's designed.
Okay, now we're getting to what is, arguably the most critical part of this whole thing. We need to look at the risks and the disclaimers that are presented in the source material itself. This is the reality check section.
So in the project's own FAQ, they ask the question point blank, is Pulse Zen an investment? I mean, that's the fundamental question anyone looking at this would have, right? And their answer is very specific. They say, not really. Instead, it's explicitly framed as a social experiment built on a decentralized network. Now, that choice of words is really, really significant because it's an attempt to shift your perspective away from thinking about this like a traditional investment. The project is also incredibly blunt about the potential downside. I mean, look at this number. It's stark. The website warns, and I'm quoting here, tokens can and may go up and down by 98%. Let's be clear, that represents a near total loss of your funds. And just to make it crystal clear, the source plainly states they could always go to zero. Now look, this is a pretty standard warning in the crypto world, but it's an absolutely vital one. It's a direct acknowledgement of just how high risk these kinds of assets are. So let's just quickly summarize the key warnings, and these are all pulled directly from the source. It says it's not to be used in the USA. It says this is not an investment. It says to never, ever use money you cannot afford to lose. It says you have to do your own research. And finally, that all tokens contain risk. It's a pretty comprehensive list of disclaimers, you gotta say.
And we're going to end on this final and I think crucial quote. It uses very specific, almost legalistic language. You must have no expectation of profit from the work of others. Now, that phrasing is really important because it directly addresses the kind of legal tests used to figure out if something is an investment contract. The project is essentially stating that if you participate, you're agreeing to these terms. It's a social experiment. The outcome is totally unknown, and the risk, well, according to the source itself, that risk rests entirely with you.